One of the mums in the nursery found out that I made cakes and asked me if I could make an owl cake for her son's birthday. So I was like, yeah, that's no problem, I can make you an owl cake. But there was a catch. She wanted it to look realistic. I was only about 2 years into my cake making at this stage, so I was really intimidated by the idea of having to make something realistic. But she was so nice about it. She was like, I know no matter what you do, I'm going to really like it and he's going to love it. Don't be worrying. But if you could make it as realistic as possible, that would be great. So as you can imagine, I was worried about this cake, worried about how it was going to turn out. And the thing that made it even worse was the fact that it's not like this was for a complete stranger or somebody online. This was for one of the mums in the nursery that I was going to have to face for the rest of the year. So I thought about the design and I thought, right, I could make it like a 3-tier cake. I could have the bottom tier as a log and the next tier could be the body of the owl and then the top tier could be the head. I could carve it all out. I could make all the feathers individually. I could use all my edible dusts. So it didn't take long for the week to come around where it was time for me to make the cake, and you know, I was so pleased with how it turned out. So the date of the party comes around, I get the cake packed up and I put it in the boot and I drive to the venue. And as I pull up to the venue, the mum comes running out. She is so excited to see this cake. And we walk round to the back of my car and I open the boot and oh my goodness, the head has fallen off the aisle. And it hasn't just rolled off, it's fallen off in spectacular style. So I'm like in complete shock, just staring at this headless owl. Meanwhile, the mum, she just lifts the head, plops it back onto the cake and starts gathering up all the feathers and sticking the feathers on. And she's the one reassuring me. She's like, don't panic, don't get upset. Let's get this cake inside and we'll patch it up. Everything will be fine. So we get inside the venue and we make the best of a really bad situation. But the poor owl, he was never restored to his former glory. So I said to her, I'm not taking any payment for you off this cake. There's no way. This is not what you ordered. This is not what you expected. So I went home that night and I felt terrible. And I went to get something out of my handbag and as I put my hand in, I lifted out an envelope. And I thought, what's that? It was the payment for the cake. She must have slipped it into my bag when I wasn't looking. Looking back now, that cake was far too ambitious for me. But what it did teach me was when you're making a tiered cake, kind of need cake dolls and a wee bit of buttercream in between layers. And most importantly of all, it costs nothing to be kind.
Did you do something? Did you do something bad? What did you do? What did you do?
I was packaging up my cake toppers and I realised, hold on a wee second, there's a batch of toppers that are missing. And I looked and I saw an empty sponge and I was thinking, where did they go? And then I remembered I'd been wiping down my table and had set them on these boxes and all I could see was an empty sponge, no toppers. And then I looked at the dog and that told me all I needed to know. Let me tell you about last week and what I do to stop the wheels coming off the bus. Last week was one of those weeks I was dreading going into, but I had an information evening for my daughter's new school. I had 5 cake topper orders, I had a cake order, I had an assignment due, I had a YouTube video to do, I had an interview for my placement, I had leavers assembly, grade 3 flute exam for Holly, ballet show for Holly, barn bash for our church on Saturday night, and I had a sick son in the middle of it all. And breathe. So this is what I do on a week like this. It's probably really obvious, but I'm going to tell you anyway, because I'm proud that I made it through that week. So first thing I do, I've got an A4 piece of paper and I'm writing everything down from Monday to Sunday. If I get it all down on paper, I don't know, it just gives me a sort of sense of control, and when I'm looking at it, even though it can be really overwhelming to look at, it's on paper and I'm not going to forget anything. Next, I'm going to number it in order of priority. Once I've done that and I've numbered it from 1 to 15 or whatever, I'm going to pop these into the planner in whatever days they're due or whatever days they're relevant. The important thing here is it's so tempting to shove everything into a few days. In an ideal world, that would be great if you could do those in a few days, but that's just going to add more pressure. So be kind to yourself and be realistic. What you can also do here is time block. I'll maybe talk about that in another video. Once you've your planner written out, nothing else goes on the planner. No matter how tempting it is, no matter how desperate someone seems, step away from the planner. For example, I'm helping out at a kids club at the end of July. To be able to help out, I need to have a background check done. So I had someone from the church ask me, could I possibly have that done by the end of last week? Perfectly reasonable request. This is where planning like this helps me the most. So once I've my planner done for the week, it's watertight. There's nothing else going in there. If I take on anything else, my week's quickly going to unravel, and so will I. So I politely said that my week was jam-packed and I wasn't going to be able to manage it, but I would do it first thing on Monday morning. It's Monday morning, and guess what's number 1 on my list? This is how you know that your kids watch too much YouTube. My wee daughter was very kindly given a voucher to spend in Claire's, so we went in yesterday to spend it. So she heads straight to the bargain bucket and pulls out what we call here a bum bag. So she lifted this bum bag out of the box and she was like, "Look, Mum, it's a family pack." Then my wee 8-year-old, he was like, No, Holly, it's a family pack. Not family, family. "Look, Mum, it's a fanny pack." Now, I don't know if you're familiar with this, but fanny means something completely different here. So anyway, I'm like, no, do you know what? We'll just call it a bum bag, because that's what I called it whenever I was growing up. But why is it a bum bag, Mummy? Why is it a fanny pack? I'm getting some really weird look. I really don't know. I don't know why it's a bum bag. I don't know why it's a fanny pack. I don't know. Why don't we just call it a bum bag or a belt bag? Because that's where you wear it. Dylan's like, oh, I know. We could call it a bladder bag. So you heard it here first, folks. Next big thing, bladder bags. That's a good ring to it, doesn't it? I never heard of a creator called The Honest Mum before, until today. So it looks like she started her TikTok in and around the time of COVID. And I think her main goal is to make content that will help other mums and that other mums can relate to. What seems to have happened is another creator has come along and is basically ripping off all of her content. She's copying things that she's doing word for word. She's taking her ideas. She even changed her handle to exactly the same name, The Honest Mum. Now, I'm all for being inspired and taking inspiration from other creators. Everybody does that. The difference here is we're not talking about just taking inspiration from another creator. We're talking about copying everything that creator does. I think this one really hits home for me because I had something similar happen to me. I'm not against copying a cake or copying a design. We all take inspiration from different places. We all need inspiration, but there's such a huge difference between taking inspiration and just blatantly copying and ripping off another creator's work. What I would say is that if you're doing that type of thing now, you gotta be so careful. The internet has made the world such a tiny place. Do you really want to build a business and be successful knowing that you did it flying in the coattails of somebody else?